with the first Gremlins movie turning 30 years old this year, yep, that and of course the first Ghostbusters movie as well, and probably a bunch of other movies that are nostalgic from the 1980s, I figured I'd do a game review based off the Gremlins movie. Well, since I can't do a game based off the first movie, since, well, the only one that exists is for the Atari 2600. And I don't have that one. So, might as well jump the gun and go with the sequel, Gremlins 2 on NES. Yeah, of course, this movie wasn't made in 1984, it was made in 1990, so... And honestly, I think and I'm sure anybody can agree with me, it's probably one of the most underrated sequels, and probably overlooked sequels of all time, because unlike the first one, which is obviously taken to a more serious and straightforward approach, and it's obviously a Christmas movie, no doubt. I mean, it's criticizable to that fact. I mean, they took a lot of liberties with that one. The second movie, on the other hand, is a lot different. The tone is different. And that's why I think a lot of people tend to overlook it. And I know, obviously, a lot of people say this, but it's true, though. The movie is more colorful, and it has more fun with itself, and it even has the balls to poke fun at itself half the time. Even with the movie critic that gives the first movie a bad review, and you got Christopher Lee playing a mad scientist. You got all this funny gags, like with the Gremlins fiddling with the film and everything. It's a funny movie, and, well, that's what these movies should be. I mean, it's a different type of scary movie, and it's not necessarily scary, and it's actually more funny. And is that a bad thing? No. So, honestly, I think in some ways it's actually more fun to watch than the first one. I mean, you got the Bat Gremlin, the Spider Gremlin, the Vegetable Gremlin, and all sorts of different gremlins that drink a lot of the chemicals and stuff, or genetics chemicals from the laboratory inside of a building, which is like a huge utopia inside of New York City. And they just miss out on taking over New York, obviously because it all happens during the daytime. So, obviously, that makes for a pretty, actually, good video game. Surprisingly, yeah. What's the game about? Well, you play as Gizmo himself, the Mogwai, and you're going around and you're trying to stop all the evil offspring, which of course are the Gremlins. Obviously, that's what happens when when Gizmo gets wet. He multiplies into many other Mogwais, but they're more vicious and evil. They trap him in the vent. Well, not in the game, of course, but in the movie. And then they obviously eat after midnight, and that's when they form into the vicious Gremlins themselves. And of course, in the game, it has all the Gremlins like you remember in the movie. And mostly, they're just scattered out through the entire levels. Of course, the basic design to the game, it's an actual overhead, bird's eye perspective kind of stage, isometric type of game. And you're going through various obstacles and conveyor belts and lava. Yeah, they actually have this scattered throughout the game, but it follows the movie very closely. I mean, you go through the studio, you go through the kitchen, of course, Mr. Clamp's office, and it even has short cutscenes. Yeah. And you got boss fights as well. But most of the time, you're just fighting that Mohawk Gremlin, which you probably remember as the main villain Gremlin that always terrorizes Gizmo. Yeah, you got him in his regular form, and then you got him with a machine gun, if you probably remember in the movie. But he wasn't shooting at Gizmo. And then you got to fight him last as the Spider Gremlin, which is what he transforms into at the end of the movie by drinking the genetic liquids. And as well as the Electric Gremlin. I don't know why they just throw that in there as well. But yeah, the Spider Gremlin, of course, is the last boss fight in the game. And of course, with all these obstacles and stuff, this game can get pretty hard. Yeah, it's enjoyable, but yeah, it also can be pretty challenging as well. And you also got to keep track of how much health you're losing too. Yeah, see on the top left corner, you got the heart meter. But, surprisingly, there's another great movie-based game that I talked about before, Batman the video game. And wouldn't you know it, they're actually made by the same company, Sunsoft. Yeah, both great movie-based games, but both real hard suckers on the NES. Yeah. There's not really many movie-based games on the NES that are actually great. I mean, you look at the line of crap that was made on the NES that were movie licensed, especially being that they were ruined by LJN. Yeah, these two really stand out. And it makes me wish that Sunsoft did more of these games. I mean, why the hell did LJN have to go and ruin all of them? Christ, couldn't they give Sunsoft a chance? But anyways, yeah, it's mostly an overhead adventure game. You venture through the building and somehow you even manage to come across the old Chinese guy that owned Gizmo. What happened? Did he come back from the dead? Doesn't anybody remember in the second movie he dies at the beginning? Not to be spoiling or anything. I'm sure anybody's seen this movie at this point. But even though it's hard, it's still pretty rewarding and fun. But if you think the game's too hard, well, you might as well get the Game Genie to grant you a wish, because you may need it sooner or later if you feel frustrated about this game. But overall, this game, and of course Batman, as I mentioned, two of the greatest movie-based games, but I'm obviously mainly talking about this one, being that it's fun, it focuses on the movie, maybe not 100%, but it's enough fun to really keep you entertained, and to kill those evil gremlins. Keep them out of New York City, and keep everybody in New York City out of harm's way of these damn things. Well, except for the Bat Gremlin, which I guess got out. But anyway, I definitely recommend this one if you can come across it. But as for the Game Boy version, which I'm surprised being that it's made by the same company, I guess they didn't really put a lot of their focus into testing it. They must have put more of their focus into this one. Trust me, don't even bother with that one. That Game Boy version, black and white to be exact, is so bad I don't even want to think about it. Makes me want to throw it in the blender like the mom did to the gremlin in the first movie. God. But this one, I think it's safe to say, I give it a plain Wii Remote up and a rockin' Wii Remote with Wii Motion Plus up. Believe me, it's good. So, till next time, happy gaming.